They say they came to Israel to seek refuge from conflict or persecution, but the Israeli government has granted asylum to fewer than 1%. It says they're economic migrants and that they threaten the security and identity of the Jewish state.
It's not only about the 45 or 50,000 people that already are here in Israel, it's about the potential. Because those people tell their friends and families back home, look, this is a very nice place, do come over.
Many people who've migrated from Eritrea or Sudan live here in South Tel Aviv. It's been the hub of the African community for several years, but over that time Israeli government policy has changed and many here are now living on borrowed time. The migrants are informally allowed to work, but must renew their conditional permits as often as every 2 months. And they know that one day, when they turn up at the office to do that, it won't be a permit they get, but a summons to the Holot detention centre. And this could be the beginning of the end of their time in Israel. We drove out to Holot from Tel Aviv. It's in the middle of the Negev desert, and it took us 3 hours to get there. Holot is in a military zone. The silence of the desert is frequently broken by the sound of explosions and Air Force jets flying overhead. The government calls this an open stay centre, but it's run by the prison service and conditions are strict. At night time there's a curfew, so residents have to report back by 10 p.m. They're not allowed to work either, and in such an isolated area there are very few things to do during the day. Journalists are not allowed inside, so we spoke to some of the residents just outside the gates. This is where they spent much of their day, playing games or cooking and eating in makeshift restaurants. Since we filmed, these restaurants have been completely demolished on the orders of the government.
Did you have some business?
Adam is from Darfur in Sudan. He came to Israel in 2011 and was summoned to Holot last October.
If someone is living here in Holot, it means that you have no future. So the future should come when you are free, you have a free thinking. Even you can find many people here getting crazy, every day getting crazy. It means if somebody come to Holot and get crazy that his mind is not recovered forever, this man is already dead.
The residents of Holot can be held here for 12 months. After that, the choice is stark. They can return home, or they can agree to go and live in a third country in Africa. And if they refuse either of these options, they could be sent to prison indefinitely. This prison, Saharanim, which is just across the road from Holot, and a constant reminder of where they could end up. The Israeli government has refused to name the third countries involved in deals to take the migrants, saying it doesn't make public all the details of its foreign policies. But the BBC has spoken to migrants who say they were sent to Rwanda and Uganda, and that Israel's promises that they will receive basic protections there are not being fulfilled. Tesfaye, who's now in Kenya, was sent to Rwanda. He said his documents were taken from him at Kigali airport. 2 days later, he says, he was forcibly smuggled into Uganda by a man calling himself John.
He told us, okay friends, now we will going to Uganda. But before you going to Uganda, you need to pay here $150. Then from border up to Kampala, you will be paid again. When we cross the border, that's what I understand, we are smuggling, illegal border crossing. We're going on foot, without any sound and silently. That's what we are understanding, that will be smuggling from one state to other border state. That's what I understand. This is the Israeli authority. It's not been what they are promised. It's totally have no any safe, have no protection at all.
Fearing deportation to Eritrea, Tesfaye fled to Kenya, where he's now seeking asylum. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame has only said that his government has been in talks with Israel over hosting its migrants and has never confirmed a deal. Uganda has denied outright that such a deal exists, but has told the BBC it's now investigating how migrants who claim to be sent from Israel are entering the country. In Kampala, this man, who's from Darfur, told us that he was sent from Israel to Uganda with 7 others and was left to fend for himself once he got there.
When we came to the airport, someone just welcomed us, and then they have taken all the documents, and then they just left us like this. They say, okay, now it's you and you're on. None of the things that I was being promised was given to me. None of things. I was not given any document, nor get a passport, nor get assistance from them, nothing. They just want to take people and dump them anywhere else.
He told us that after 9 months he did manage to get refugee status in Uganda. The lack of transparency in the so-called voluntary departure process to third countries raises many questions, questions that have led legal experts to argue that Israel is in breach of its obligations under the UN Refugee Convention.
Of course, it's not voluntary because you are using the threat of putting them indefinitely in prison if they refuse to go. And then when they land in one of those 2 countries, the lack of proper monitoring, I think, cannot really secure in the necessary certainty that those people would not end up, either without status or in prison, or worst of all, being returned to places where they would face danger.
The Israeli government told me that it has absolutely no doubt that it's acting within the framework of international law. That view is due to be challenged next month in a case at the Israeli Supreme Court. It can only give hope to those whose search continues for a normal life and a place of safety. Kathy Harcombe, BBC News.